we see another word, the word Adonai, in the Hebrew Bible. Used of patriarchs, used of Joseph as the vicegerent, of Moses, of foreign kings with all sorts of names, with notable leaders like Ezra. And then Lord translates, again, lowercase, the word Adonai to refer to the Israel's kings, Solomon and David. Very often the Davidic kings are given this sort of my Lord the King. And then we have the prophets of Israel. I think the most significant use, though, of the word Lord, and notice it's all capitals, is when Lord translates the unspeakable, ineffable name of God 6,800 times. That's a remarkable number of references here to the one true God. Psalm 110, the Lord, notice all capitals, Yahweh, said to my Lord, Adonai the King, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. This is a key text in the New Testament.
Many scholars, like the good doctor here, have sought to change the meaning of one of the most important verses of the Old Testament used by the New Testament writers. So this bit of fake news has been around for quite a long time now. Encyclopedia Americana 1949, in Psalm 110:1, Yahweh said to Adonai, this passage is cited by the Christ to prove that he is Adonai seated at the right hand of Yahweh. It's clear then that in this lyric, Yahweh addresses the Christ as a different person, yet identical in Godhead. Another noted scholar here, Geisler, although the doctrine of the Trinity is not as explicit in the Old Testament as the New Testament, nonetheless, there are passages where members of the Godhead are distinguished. At times they even speak to one another. See Psalm 110:1. The Lord Yahweh speaks to my Lord Adonai. You even have study Bibles like the ESV. The term is literally my Lord Adoni. Gideon uses the same term to refer to God in chapter 6, verse 15. One of the most noted Christological scholars of the last 50 years, James Dunn, in his Unity and Diversity. The Hebrew of Psalm 110 uses two different words, Yahweh and Adonai. You have notable commentaries like Ellicott's on Genesis 24:12, where you have, O Lord God. So the Hebrew there is Jehovah, God of my Lord, Adoni Abraham. The word translated master throughout this chapter is Adonai, the ordinary word for Lord. Yet Adoni is used 13 times in this chapter alone, in contrast to the divine name, which is used 6 times. Yet there are many translations and paraphrases that accurately capture the truth of the verse, which is simply of God speaking to someone who is not God. And it's rendered usually as little L, Lord. So all caps here is a translation of the divine name, the 4-letter word, and the phrase to my Lord of the non-deity title, the Hebrew Adoni. You have the Living Bible, which actually paraphrases it correctly by saying that Jehovah speaks to the Lord Messiah, and the Amplified Bible, the Lord, that is the Father, says to my Lord the Messiah, his Son. This split in the Trinitarian ranks continues with notable scholars like Albert Barnes, who said that the word in Psalm 110 does not necessarily imply divinity, but only superiority. David calls him his superior, his Lord, his master, his lawgiver. Mackenzie's Dictionary of the Bible, Adonai is a vocalization of uncertain date and origin to distinguish the divine title from the usual Adoni, my Lord, addressed to human beings. So a word of advice to anyone watching this bit of fake news to check for yourself. The bottom line is that in Psalm 110:1, it's unthinkable, impossible, let alone blasphemous, to say that God is speaking to God, Yahweh is speaking to Yahweh here, let alone that the word Adonai can be used for the patriarchs, prophets, or anyone else apart from the one God of Israel, Yahweh, the one who Jesus calls the only one who is true God